Man Schuller.
I don't know how to say it. Think I'm addicted to you. Oh, it's you that's got me going.
That's my coin term, just because of how smooth your voice was. And now that we're here at NPC and I got to actually listen to you perform live, I can confirm it is in fact Man Schuller.
So much I had
Hey,
How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. It's so good to finally meet you in
Yes,
person,
yes.
and I'm always honored by the Man Schuller reviews on the reaction channel.
Yeah. Thank you. I think you have like the smoothest voice in all of Nerdcore.
Damn, you hear that?
I'm
You hear
giving that to him. I'm giving it to him. It's also interesting how I've seen you do songs with NerdOut, but also your solo music, and they're completely marketed differently. You have, I would say, way more artistic, I guess, freedom and ways that you can attack your solo stuff. I'm assuming, and at least I've seen that with like the music videos. How long does it take to film a typical music video?
Oh man, well, the filming part is usually pretty quick because with renting all the equipment and the crews and locations, you got to kind of have everything dialed down. But the planning part takes months in advance, and there's a lot that goes into it. But yeah, that's like the stuff that I'm super passionate about, and being able to do albums where I can tell like a cohesive story through visuals is like my favorite thing to do. So there'll be more in the future, I can say that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, because me hearing that side of your music, and we can talk about NerdOut as well, but that side of the music is what like hooked me, because in your solo music you'll explore some themes like emotionally, relationship wise, and all those things that I don't get as much as in NerdOut, but I still do get that there too. I think to me it's just, your voice is also a cheat code, by the way. I feel like you could say anything, I'd be like,
You're just
that
making
was
my head
nice."
bigger and bigger the longer this goes on. But I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
But the point I wanted to get to is, when you pick a topic, when you're doing something in the nerd section, nerdcore, do you first dissect the character, whoever you're singing about, or do you first think of a theme of that show and then write from there? Like how is your writing process?
Yeah, I mean, for NerdOut, I mean, definitely our favorite thing to do is to like find a theme in whatever certain IP we're singing about, rapping about, and that find a theme that relates to us. Like find something like for example, "Alone in the Crowded Room," the acoustic song I played last night. Like that was like technically for Avatar: The Last Airbender, but like Jack was heavily influenced by the passing of his grandma last year, and like a lot of the themes from that show, we were able to like make it more personal. So yeah, it's always great when we're able to do that in a lot of the NerdOut stuff. Obviously, when you're making nerdcore music, it is still very much related to the anime, the source content. So yeah, like when I'm doing my own solo stuff, I can kind of just have free reign to, whatever thing I'm feeling at that moment, and it's like, this is what I need to get out into the world. I can just say it. And
that's what I connect with too. I think one of the things that I've said about nerdcore is I love the content source stuff, but I also want every now and then maybe like 10% of your stuff, even if you're full nerdcore, 10% of it, make it about you, make it something that relates to a story about you, or something emotional, because if it's only the source content, then fans are only gonna leap and listen to the song if it's the content that they like to listen to. Right? So if it's like Naruto, they'll only watch your Naruto songs, or listen to them.
Right.
I'm thinking of AMVs too. But I think if they can get that connection from you, even within that anime song, and then even that 10%, and they want to know what you're up to personally, you the person. Do you feel that sometimes people will only think of Ben from NerdOut versus Ben from just like your own music? How does that work?
It is interesting because those, like, my solo music brand and like the NerdOut brand were so separate for so long, but they've started to become much more merged together. And I feel like there's been a lot of crossover from those fan bases, which has been really cool to see. Like, because obviously, like I'll feature on a lot of Nerdcore artists' songs as Ben Schuller, and then those people who might not have heard of me before will go to my page and find out that my music isn't really nerdcore for the most part. So it's been cool to kind of see how that has crossed over, and I don't think it's like weird anymore that like. I feel like it has become like more connected.
That's good. Yeah. Speaking of, your writing process and all that, when you do a song with NerdOut, I'm guessing at this point it's like a well-oiled machine. You kind of know what you have to do. How long did it take for you to get to the point where like chemistry-wise and idea-wise you guys could align? And I know, of course, it's 3 different brains, right? So you're never going to align completely.
Yeah.
But how did you get that first 80% figured out?
Yeah. Oh man, I don't know. I mean, we've been doing it for so long now. I'm trying to think back to like the very beginning. Like, I mean, a lot of it was, Jack having ideas about certain things and like, hey Ben, I want to make a song about this. Help me bring this to life, basically. And so a lot of it on my end was trusting like his vision on stuff, and then Nem would have his own ideas and he makes different songs. Which is why a lot of like, Nem will make a song for NerdOut, I'll make a song for NerdOut. Like when we collab on them, it's more like you're saying, we have to all come together and figure out how to all see on the same page. And there's a lot of times where we don't. I will say there's a lot of ideas that die on the what's the phrase, like die on the cutting room floor or whatever. Like
and it's natural for that to happen.
But I mean it happens when you're in a group and like everybody's trying to come up with like the best stuff you can possibly do. And I feel like at this point though, we've been at this for coming up on 9 years now, I think. And NerdOut's been going on. It's just crazy to think about.
I had heard NerdOut, by the way, in the past. I just didn't know it was Nerdcore. Like, it was just like
on
YouTube, it showed up, and I just watched a few things. But then I got into Nerdcore.
What year was that?
Definitely, like, after I stopped doing COD montages, so maybe it was like 2017.
Okay, so a decent amount of time ago.
A bit. It was definitely before COVID, that's for sure.
Well, it's crazy how like what Nerdcore was 10 years ago is so different than what it is now. Like, I mean, Nerdcore back then, when we started doing NerdOut, Rocket and JT, you had like Dan Bull, and like a couple of other people were like starting to do stuff, but like, flash forward 5 years later and it was like, oh, where all these artists come from? And then another 5 years later, and it's like now we have this giant community where Nerdcore has blossomed into anime rap, and there's, stuff about video games, and there's stuff about just being nerdy in general. And it's crazy how it has evolved. Like, you can't even really classify what Nerdcore is anymore.
No one can. I asked for the definition. There's no definition.
It's just music.
Just trust him. It's Nerdcore.
Music about things that are nerdy. That's it. That's it. It can mean a lot of things at this point.
So, question for you regarding that then. Megan Thee Stallion released a song called Otaku Hot Girl. Is she Nerdcore now?
Oh yeah, I think so.
I think so too.
I haven't heard the song. I will say, I do love when I see like an artist like do a song for like a comic book movie, like an MCU movie or something. It's like, oh, Post Malone just put out Sunflower for Spider-Verse. Like, I guess he's a Nerdcore artist now.
That was a sick song,
It was a sick song. It's Nerdcore. And what I just tweeted the other day, I stumbled on, do you remember that movie Wild Wild West with Will Smith? From like, it was like late 90s.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
I've seen that.
I stumbled on like a video where he sings like the theme song, and like he's singing about the character. It's a Nerdcore song. It's straight up Nerdcore song.
That's sick.
Where he's like rapping as the character Jim West or whatever, and like Will Smith, Nerdcore rapper in 1990, whatever.
There you go. Nerdcore inventor extraordinaire.
He started it all.
But I really do appreciate you coming over and talking to me. We're actually at the after party, and there's a lot of people I'm sure you'd love to mingle with. Just a couple questions at the end here. Apart from NerdOut, who's your favorite artist to work with in the space?
Ooh, I mean, put me on the spot here. My favorite artist to work with.
Yeah. You won't hurt feelings.
I feel like I could. I don't know.
Okay.
I will say, I just finished up a song with Rustage. It's coming out in his new album that comes out in a couple weeks. I'm really excited about that. I always love being on his songs. I loved working with DPS last year because he just is so hands-on with everything. He really like wants every detail and like just to be the best possible. And you can go back and forth. There's no bad ideas. You throw something out, someone else throws something out, and just it all turns into the best possible song. Yeah. I also love working with Fable. It's been way too long, but maybe sometime pretty soon. But we'll see.
Okay. Fable, yeah. I think that could work a lot, you know, because he's got that higher energy. You got that like mellow thing going on, and just that contrast between the two can just break up the song a bit and just make it a nice experience.
Yeah. Apologies to whoever I forgot to mention right there, because I'm feeling like I'm gonna get blasted.
Everyone's gonna get blasted. We're just starting beef with this, right?
Yeah, for real.
But yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
thank you again. I was really looking forward to meeting you because, like I said, smoothest voice in Nerdcore. I was showing some of your songs to my brother there on the road trip, and I was like, just trust me, you haven't heard everyone yet because I had a whole playlist.
Yeah.
I just introduced him to Nerdcore and all that. And I'm like, trust me, this guy is smoothest voice. You don't even need to listen to anyone. I'm not talking shit about anyone else.
I'm taking it. I'm gonna take it. I'm gonna get a billboard with it and put it up there. Smoothest voice, Nerdcore.
Man Schuller right
here.
Thank you again, and have a nice night.
Dude, you too. It's great to finally meet you in person.
Yes.
Too long, so.
I met a lot of people there. I think you're like almost the only one I didn't even say hi to.
I don't know how I didn't run into you this entire weekend. Yeah. Like that's like difficult. I don't know how it's possible.
And I was by the entrance too, where like where the backstage area was, like right there. I was saying hi to a few people. I don't think I saw you. I was like, damn, I don't know where he is. Is he even here? And then you showed up on stage. I'm like, okay, he's here. So that's fine.
That's crazy. Well,
but yeah, thank you.
All right, dude. Appreciate you.
All his links in the description. I guess, do you want to shout out anything at the end?
Not really. I don't think so.
We're good.
I don't
know.
Go
links in the description though.
Go check out Ben Schuller, Two Sides of the Same Coin, the visual album.
That's you got an award for...
Yeah, Best Cinematography, Vancouver Film Festival.
Yes, that was sick.